Hi guys, I'm Ashley, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about documentary filmmaking and the ethics behind it. When you hear the word documentary, what comes to your mind? I usually think National Geographic, History Channel, and other educational programs. I bet you didn't think of reality TV. I didn't either. But Jersey Shore is technically a documentary TV series. And I say technically because part of what I want to do today is to dissect a little bit the definition of a documentary and how it's shifted and changed over the past few years. The word itself can be described as based on or recreating an actual event, era, life story, etc. that purports to be factually accurate and contains no fictional elements. Let's start by addressing the phrase actual event, era, life story, etc. Obviously, we all realize that shows like the Jersey Shore, the content is edited to portray the most outrageous and dramatic experiences and circumstances that the cast encounters during the season. Simply put, producers are giving people what they want. No one wants to see ordinary people doing ordinary things and living their ordinary lives. The drama and drinking and fighting is what sells, so that's what's manufactured. Jill Godmill wrote an article entitled "Kill the Documentary as We Know It," in which she goes as far as to call documentary filmmaking pornography of the real. She makes this bold statement because pornography is the objectifying of a graphic image, turning it from a subject into an object, so that the thing or person depicted can be commodified, circulated, and consumed without regard to its status as a subject. Shows like the Jersey Shore exploit real-life situations in an extreme effort to gain viewership. Now that we've discussed how documentaries can take actual events and manipulate them in a way that is more appealing to the viewer, along the same lines, we now have to consider that documentaries are always coming from some angle, meaning that the facts that are being presented might be true, but the way in which they are presented can completely change the outcome of a film. Even if the intention of a film isn't to make money, a neutral situation or experience can still be skewed by political, social, and economic factors. Someone somewhere in the production line adopted a stance and chose a point of view, and now the film is coming from that point of view. I think that there's this stigma about documentaries that they're an absolute truth. They're beyond the confines of a Hollywood blockbuster hit. This isn't always the case. It's impossible to show every viewpoint in a film, and it's also impossible to fully and accurately represent something. Just like you can take a picture of a beautiful sunset, but it can't represent the entirety of what you actually saw. Maybe there was more to the scene than your camera was able to capture. Or maybe there was something ugly in the foreground that you intentionally left out of the picture. The same holds true for documentaries, and viewers need to realize that they are seeing the filmmaker's ideas, views, and opinions, and not an absolute truth. Now that we have a little better context for our definition of what a documentary actually is, it's time to come to my last point, which is actually a question. Is documentary filmmaking ethical? As we discussed earlier, it's easy to manipulate footage to tell a story in a certain way, so I'd like to revisit this idea of exploitation from a different angle. I think we can all agree that we don't see an episode of Jersey Shore and think, oh, poor Snooki's being taken advantage of and made out to be a total mess. The cast seems to be thoroughly enjoying and actually thriving on the exploitation. On the other hand, sometimes filmmakers aren't completely honest with their intentions when asking participants for consent. In his article, Ultimately We Are All Outsiders, Calvin Pryluck asks the question, what is the boundary between society's right to know and the individual's right to be free of humiliation, shame, and indignity? Individuals can be intimidated by camera crews and equipment and consent to being filmed without actually knowing what they're being filmed for or how exactly the footage is going to be used. If filmmakers are not given consent, it is both illegal and unethical to use individuals and feature products in their films. To continue with my Jersey Shore example, there are numerous instances where faces, products, and clothing are blurred because the producers do not have the consent of the people or the brands. Hopefully I've provided you all with a little deeper insight into the world of documentary filmmaking and helped you to realize that even though reality TV and documentaries can be both educational and informative, everything is not always as it seems. Thank you.